Before we get into today's video, I still have that in. Before we get into today's video, I want to say two things. Number one, I have a office type setup. Apologies, the camera isn't the greatest. The mic quality doesn't sound the greatest, but it gets me out the wind, gets me out the cold, gets me out the mud. Most important thing is the mud. I can deal with the cold and the wet, but the mud, I can't. So yeah, proper indoor setup. This is most likely where most of my videos will come from now. I'm hoping that kind of the more I do this, I can kind of upgrade some of this stuff so it's a little bit of a better quality. Second thing, huge thank you to I don't know if they want me to say their name, so I won't. But huge thank you to a viewer who donated 50 quid. Thank you so much for that. I'm genuinely so appreciative. That's not why I set up the email in the description, but yeah, I'm appreciative either way. Thank you. So, today's topic about my candidacy for restore. No, not reform. So my candidacy for restore. If you watched Monday's video, my big announcement, I basically announced that I was joining Restore and how I had emailed them about my interest to become a candidate. They came back to me last night saying that they have registered my interest. When it comes to vetting and stuff like that, when they have the infrastructure there, they will take a proper look, a professional look, a proper vetted view of me to see if they want to have me as a candidate. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit today, kind of about Restore, like about why I want to stand as a candidate, what I believe is different from Restore to Reform, especially in terms of leadership and values and stuff like that. So first and foremost, kind of the main crux of the video, why do I want to stand as a candidate? You know, growing up, obviously having an interest in politics, there's always that big kind of, oh, imagine if I stood, imagine if I was in Parliament. But besides that, I've never really had a genuine kind of ambition, let's say, a genuine ambition to kind of go, you know what, I want to run for Parliament, I want to be a member of Parliament. That's never really kind of piqued my interest, especially with when I was a member of Reform. They already had their system, they already had their vehicle, a lot of candidates already. So it's like, these guys are doing a good enough job. What's the point? I'm a member, I'm paying, I'm supporting, I'm doing my part. But these guys have kind of got it covered already, so what's the point? But then after I left, I kind of decided that the best way that I could do to kind of get my message across, to kind of push and campaign for the change I want, is to do this. Hence why I started doing this. But now with Restore, I can see that this is definitely a movement I want to get behind. This is definitely a movement I believe in. You know, I almost immediately joined. Yeah, I did hold a poll, but I did almost immediately join the party. I have massive respect to Rupert Lowe. He's doing great things, incredible work ethic. I think he'd make a great prime minister, to be honest. But this is kind of a movement that I want to fully get behind, I want to fully support, and I think a great way to do that would just be to stand for them. You know, I would love to fight for you, kind of the native British people, to fight for proper Britain, as Lowe calls it. But I think it's a great calling in politics where you're passionate about something, you want to make a change, get behind a party that you support them, stand for them. I think this is like a big thing that I think Restore needs right now, because the momentum's already behind us. I mean, 70,000 members in 6 days. It's incredible. I mean, the Brexit Party, back in 2019, their kind of peak membership, they gained 17,000 members in 5 days, and that was peak. That was historic. That was incredible. And then Restore come along and just bang, 70,000 in 5 days. So, you know, we've got the momentum. We have a great work ethic from Lowe. You know, building a great team, building a great party. So kind of the only obvious thing now that I can see that we need is kind of frontline manpower in terms of candidates, to field in elections, by-elections, councillors, MPs, to stand in by-elections for Parliament, by-elections for council. Defections are great. Don't get me wrong. If we can get genuine talent in from reform, that's great. But we can kind of use with fielding our own, winning our own elections. So what better way to help that than to try and take part? But the kind of main difference with reform and restore, I think, is optimism. And that reform did have a lot of optimism to begin with, but that kind of faded away very quickly. When they kind of started to poll quite highly, I felt like members kind of stopped paying as much attention. They kind of stopped feeling as much optimism, certainly with me, at least. The more Farage spoke and opened his mouth, the more you kind of go, yeah, it's kind of dog shit, So some of the stuff they're coming out with, I mean, Farage campaigned on in the last election, kind of deporting every single illegal migrant. He said, deport people, deport. And then he won, or at least had a very successful campaign. And then he started to kind of go, well, deporting hundreds of thousands of people, it's a bit impossible. And then Lowe comes out of nowhere and goes, we need to deport millions. So where Farage is going, deporting hundreds of thousands of people is just unrealistic. It's impossible. We can't do it. And then Lowe and Restore is talking about millions have to go. Yeah, they gotta go. And that's what people want. That's what people voted for reform for. That's what people threw their support behind reform for, was they have a genuinely patriotic, right-wing, British First party. And then they started importing in, centrist, failed Tories who couldn't control the border when they were in power with an established party, and they'd receive a lot more pushback being a minister for reform. So if they couldn't do it then, they will not be able to do it under a reform government. Nigel Farage is not this god who can just, well, actually, Boris couldn't do it, and these ministers under Boris couldn't do it, but under me, we're going to fix the country, we're going to save the country. It's just not going to work. It's just not practical. He's doing it, it seems like he's doing it more so for kind of attention and political power more so than he genuinely wants to help the country. Another big thing is that he just kind of comes out with these random policies that no one really asked for, like working from home, we're going to ban it. Why? It's less practical. It's been proven by multiple economic studies that working from home is more practical and productive, and it keeps costs down. At a time where fuel prices are so expensive, working from home and not driving to work, not wasting an hour or half an hour or a few hours depending on where you work, commuting to work, turns out to be a lot more productive, time and cost effective. So why would you want to get rid of that? No one asked for any of this. You're the immigration guy. We're supporting you, or we were supporting you to deal with immigration. We don't care about this side stuff. But then he also backtracks and everything, comes out and says, well, I have never led an anti-immigration party. I've never led an anti-immigration party. His whole ass campaign for the last election was to stop immigration. Legal. Well, no, he actually did want to stop legal then as well. But now that he's imported centrist twats, to put it politely, and these kind of foreign people as well, all of a sudden it's like, well, we actually won't talk about legal. Well, actually, deporting hundreds of thousands of people is a political impossibility. Lowe comes out, says all this stuff, right? Straight back to that position, we're going to do mass deportation, we're going to do the mass deportations. No one believes you. Okay, no one believes you. But back to my original point of Restore is that they don't back down. Well, obviously they don't back down. You know, Lowe was being interviewed, and they were like, "Well, actually, you can't just ban doctors and stuff from speaking languages that aren't English to patients, because what if these people are more comfortable talking in their native language?" And he goes, "I don't care. This is England. You should speak English." Just bang on. He's saying not what people want to hear. He's saying what he thinks. Yeah, he's saying what he thinks, and the people are getting behind it because it's what they need to hear. Unlike Farage, who changes his tune with what the people think, Lowe and Restore come out and just say it as it is. And people like that. People are getting behind what they're saying, you know. It's a 5-day, 6-day-old party, and they already have a far more comprehensive deportation plan than Reform. Reform promised their members mass deportations. We're going to stop all illegal migration. We're going to massively restrict legal migration. And it's like, yes, thank you, please. And then they stopped saying that, backtracked on that. Restore's come out and said, we're going to do this, but more. And now Farage and Zia Yusuf are trying to make it out like they've been saying it forever. They didn't backtrack on it at all, anything like that. Now that Restore are getting popular from saying it. So, to kind of conclude, to summarise, Restore need support. They're a new party. I mean, they're already getting a barrage of attacks from everyone. GB News, even Reform are out there calling them racist and Nazis and stuff. So this party genuinely needs our support. You know, this is a party and a movement I want to get behind. It's a party and a movement I want to encourage you guys to get behind as well. So instead of what I usually do and linking my Rumble, I will put a link to joining Restore at the top of the comment section. It's 20 quid a year. Come on, 20 quid a year to save our country, you know. We don't need to polish around the edges, kind of a little bit of reform here and there. We need full national restoration to stop the replacement of our people, to stop the inflow of migration in the way that it's happening right now. Reform aren't the party to do it. They've never been the party to do it, very clearly. Farage has backtracked on pretty much everything he's ever done in his life, resigning as leader of UKIP over very minor pushback from the party, pissed right off after the Brexit referendum, didn't kind of bother to try and make sure Brexit was done properly, just, see ya, I'm gone. So this is definitely a movement and a party we need to get behind. You know, all Reform supporters, I would strongly advise you leave Reform and throw your weight behind Restore. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in.